Hello, it's Nikki, and welcome to Thursday, where we talk about your future self. It is cozy season here in the UK. We've actually got a bit of sun today, which this pale and ginger person is really appreciating because I need the vitamin D. Come on. But I am definitely enjoying this moment. I love winter nights. Don't know why I'm laughing at that. I love winter nights. I love being cozy, like a hot water bottle. I've got a really heavy duvet. All of it. I love it. Get the heating on, get the fire on. Great. Love all of that. But this comfort zone can be comfy until it's not. And this is what I want to talk about today. Because this comfort zone gets so much recognition, like it's the holy grail, like as long as you're comfy, it's okay. But for me, and maybe for you, that comfort zone can, if we're not careful, flip in to toleration zone. That moment where 1 minute you're comfy and you're like, yeah, this is all right. And then like, yeah, it's all right. It's all right, but like, I've just been doing this for a while. Or like, well, it's not exactly what I wanted. Or these three things are really annoying me right now. So it can really switch consciously or unconsciously. And I want to talk about it today because there is something about the familiarity of circumstances, situations that keep us where we are. That sense that we don't want to rock the boat because it's familiar and maybe this is always the way that it's been. And I was talking about this with my 9-year-old the other day about how as a child you can begin to be that person who does X, Y, and Z. And very quickly that habit, that trait, that attribute, that attitude moves into other areas. So I was talking about how an adult, for example, might wake up in a bad mood and they shout at their kids and then the kids go to school cross. This person goes into the supermarket and they're really shirty with the person who works there. Then they get in their car and they drive too fast and then they knock somebody, like all of these things. And that all happened from the beginning of the day. Now, I'm not saying that we all have to be jolly people the whole time. Of course, we all have bad days. But I was using that as an example with my son that things can escalate quickly. And I want you to really turn up the brightness and the awareness on what is going on for you. Because there may be niggles in your life that are there. They've been there for a while. You know they're not ideal, but they're okay. And I want you, as the first exercise, to list these. What are the parts in your life that are niggly, a bit annoying, frustrating, lurking, all of those things? Now, these things might be, we put it down to, well, that's just the way that it is. Or one of the things that feels quite hectic for us at the moment is the last 10 minutes before we have to leave for school always feels really chaotic. And you might just say, well, that's what it's like, getting kids out the door to school. And yet the part of me is like, no, but what can we do? How can we make this better? What needs to happen? Is there a system? Is there a box? Is there something I can buy to improve this? But I want you to write down all of those niggles. And if you don't have those niggles readily available to you, just begin to notice them. As you go through your day, just note them down in your phone. Number 2, I want you to notice the conversations around the niggles. So sometimes what we can do is we can punish ourselves or hold ourselves back for what it is that we want. Because gratitude has, rightly so, entered the chat. It's a brilliant thing. But what I find is sometimes that we say, I'm really annoyed that my house is a mess, for example, but at least I've got a roof over my head. I'm really grateful for that. And actually that spectrum is huge. It's really, really big. From you having a roof over your head and living in a complete pigsty to not having a roof over your head, there's workable things within that. And so I want you to notice those conversations that are happening. And I want you to raise up your standards for your wish list, because there are probably so many parts of your wish list that you're not even exploring yet. And by you exploring those parts of your wish list, you're not taking away from anybody else. You're going to end up being the most full version of yourself. And surely that is what life is about. And again, there's that but is this selfish, or should I be doing this? I've seen it. The way that I parent, when I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm irritable, I haven't had a moment to myself, I feel overwhelmed. I know that version of myself and how I am in my home. And I also know that version of myself where I feel topped up, I feel good, I feel excited. I know all of those things too. Number 3, are you willing to explore another way? And what does this bring up for you? Now, so many people will do the same things for years, because maybe they will say things like, well, that's it for me, or that's just the way that it is, full stop. Everything comes to that kind of closed position. And that's fine for them. And there are maybe things that I've had in my own life that have been bubbling along in that way for 10 years, until one day where I'm like, I could change this. This could be different. Oh my goodness, I need to look at this, etc. I want you to notice if you're willing to continue or not. And if you're not willing to continue, there needs to be something from you right now where you say to yourself, right, it's time. I need to do some work here. I need to go first. I can't continue in this way. I need to change direction here. And so really looking at this in this way, because most people will just say, well, it can't change, that's it, and not be willing to look outside of it. And for many things, I often think that there is something that you can do. Number 4, what is the version of you that is driving this next chapter and getting into the emotion? When I have big business goals or life goals, I am showing up from that person who is expansive, experienced, confident, assured, determined, proactive, all of these really positive things. And yet, this is me speaking honestly, when I sometimes take the action, I'm not operating from that status. I sometimes will choose low-level tasks, or I'll play from that like smaller version of myself, that version who kind of like undersells herself or is like jolly and lovely. And actually sometimes what I need to do is to be a leader in that moment, to be like that 360 version of myself. And I've seen it sometimes when I've been in rooms that the first time people might meet me, the words that they might use are like, oh, she's lovely, or she's nice to be around, or she's friendly, or she's funny. But they're not going, she really, they might not say on the first thing, she really knows her stuff, doesn't she? Obviously not across the board, just the stuff that I am good at. But I have often found myself in life as a bit of the underdog, even though I knew that I could win something, even though that I knew that this could happen for me. I've been that underdog until I haven't, until I've gone, do you know what? Let me show up as my full version of myself. I really want you to question this as we move into the next year and ask yourself, who is driving this magical mystery ride here? Is it the version of you that really wants to make stuff happen? Or is it that younger or less experienced, or what's going on? What's happening? And make sure that your dreams and your actions are really, really close. Number 5, we talked about the comfort zone, slipping into the toleration zone. What about the knock your own socks off zone? And I really want to talk about this because there's so much that we can do. There's so much available to us and so many ways we can delight and shock and excite ourselves. We are in such a brilliant world of opportunity. So never mind the niggles and the toleration stuff. And yes, that's important. But I want you to take a moment to write down your knock your own socks off goals. Those things that you maybe have no idea if they're even possible for you. But yet there's something in you that is like, yeah, that, yes, please, that is the one. If you want help and support, come and book a strategy session with me, or go over to Jam and Plan. That could be a really great goal setting place for you to hang out in. And as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, please follow along, please tell your pals, and I'll see you next week. Lots of love. Bye.